Hi, this is Kim Anderson from Anderson and Boback. Today we're going to talk about what are you doing with your children during this quarantine? What are you doing at home? It's a hard time for everyone. We understand that as well. And I know there's a lot of things you can read online about what to do with your child, but I thought let's talk about some of the things that I did when I was a child. See how it's different. Maybe there's a new idea there. Of course, it depends on your child's age. Little kids, you're going to have to do different things with, of course. My mom used to put a big box on the floor. We was always entertained by how my little sister would climb into the box, and my parents complained so much about the types of presents they would buy, and all the kids wanted to do was play in the wrapping paper and the box. So some things can be real easy for little kids. As they get older, we understand it gets a little harder. So what types of things can you do? You can always paint. You can always draw. There's lots of great YouTube videos on how to draw. I always wanted to be a cartoonist when I was a child. I thought I'm gonna grow up and be a cartoonist because I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. Until I guess I figured out there was really no money in it for me and I'm not really good at it. So that type of thing though was something I really enjoyed as a child. We did puzzles, we did games, this probably the stuff that you're all doing right now as well. Instead of sitting in front of the TV though, there are so many things you can think of to do once you kind of put your mind to it. First, I'd say, what are you good at? Are you a sewer? How about teaching them to sew? My mom was a good sewer. She'd get out her sewing machine. She'd give me some scraps of fabric and I would sew them on my little machine. Eventually, I was able to graduate into sewing my doll clothes. And if you're not a sewer, you could still teach them how to sew a button. You can make a sock monkey. I used to have a ton of sock monkeys when I was a kid. If socks kind of worn out somewhere, wasn't good for anything, if we didn't use it to use as a dusting rag or something, then it became a sock monkey. So we had lots of sock monkeys, lots of colors. That's an easy thing to teach a child, and it sits on their bed. They can kind of remember it and have some fun with it. My mom was a great cook, so she would cook us, all kinds of things, how to do a soup, how to do all kinds of cooking things. She was a great baker. And so there was also another example of how you can teach and build in like math lessons into baking. 1/4 of a cup. What does that look like compared to a cup? How many 1/4 cups are in 1 cup? So there's lots of math in baking that you can teach your children as well. If you're a builder, if you can build anything, what a great craft to teach your kids long term. You can learn how to build a box, how to make a toy car. It seemed like whenever we were given the opportunity to build something in the workshop though, all we came out with were weapons, sickles and all kinds of crazy stuff. So sometimes it can kind of backfire on you regarding what you're trying to teach them and what they come out with. But the important thing is that they're kind of using their heads, right? They're trying to think of things on their own, and that's what you really want to encourage is kind of how to make things, how to be excited about making things. One thing that we would do too is plant a garden. So we would start things in little Dixie cups. We'd put the soil in, we'd put the plants in, or the seeds in, and then we'd water it and we'd watch it and make sure it, and just getting up every day and watching that thing grow was absolutely fabulous. We loved it. Put it in the ground, watch it grow big, harvest it in the fall. Picking green beans was not one of our favorite activities as a child, but I look back at that and I'm like, I'm really glad she taught me how to do that. And we had green beans all winter long, our own green beans. So that's kind of a cool activity. I'm glad that she taught us how to do that. One activity we did too, which I really, I didn't love as much at the time, but now I look back and I think that was kind of cool, is words. She would teach us, and my dad would get in on it when he would come home, but she would pick 5 words. Didn't happen every day, but she put 5 words and put it up on the fridge, either in note cards or just on a sheet of paper. And it would be 5 words that were probably above our knowledge at the time. So I wrote down 5 words here just as an idea, like build, propagate, sterile, decipher, and contribute. These weren't words that we used on a normal basis, right? But the idea of the game was you try it every time you talked, every time you made a sentence, every time you had a conversation, you'd use those 5 words in your conversation. Sometimes it didn't even make sense. It was just funny. We'd start giggling and laughing. It would make us laugh a lot. But she would give us an example, obviously, of what the word meant and say, I will build a greenhouse to propagate plants. Wash your hands so they're sterile. I cannot read your writing. Can you decipher this for me? I contribute a large part of my vocabulary that I had as a child. I did really well in school due to things like that. You know, we would go around all day long and use those 5 words, and at the dinner table, and every time we talked to each other. And sometimes it just got silly, but I'll tell you, I always remembered those 5 words because they were just ingrained into your head all day long. What we didn't do as a child, but I think is a kind of a cool idea too, is pick a different language. How about la boca? This is your mouth. How about your hair? Pelo. Your dog? Perro. These are types of things that you can find online fairly easily. And if you do kind of the same thing with the 5-word description I gave you before for an activity, you could do that with foreign language too. You know, the child can learn all kinds of things that will stick in their head if you do it early and you kind of repeat it all the time. You know, parents today, and this isn't a knock on parents, but parents today seem like they have to play with their child all the time. And I'd encourage you to try and let them think for themselves. Put them down and let them play with blocks. Let them be creative on their own. If you're always doing something with them, if you're like their play child, you know, their play friend, it really kind of takes away their ability to be creative and to think of things on their own. And since we're in a time where you're kind of stuck inside and things are just getting hard to think of what you can do besides sticking your child in front of your TV, sometimes creative things can really save the day and help you come up with things to do for your child as well. One of the things that I liked to do as a child also was dress up. We'd go through the closet and we'd put all kinds of fun stuff on, and we'd do a fashion show. We'd come down the stairs, and that was great fun. We put on some music, sometimes shut the lights off. We'd have the flashlights going. So that was kind of fun. We did that a lot. One of the other things that we liked to do when I was a child was we'd play store. I don't know why we were fascinated by that so much, but my mom would take things out of the cabinets and there'd be canned goods, some pasta, whatever it was, right? And we'd put little tags on it, how much it would cost. And then one of my sisters or my brother would be the person who rang the cash register. And that person, of course, was learning a little bit of math too. They would learn how to add everything up. Sometimes we'd let them cheat and use the calculator. But the idea, for some reason, of being an adult was fascinating to us as a child. I hope I've helped today. I know I've kind of enjoyed just talking about it, kind of relived some of the things I did in my youth. Give us a call at Anderson and Boback if you have any questions about your family law matter. Thanks so much. Bye.